Now let's turn to the Middle East, where Israel says it's carried out airstrikes against Palestinian militants in Gaza after 2 rockets were fired into Israel. Both rockets were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. The scale of the bombing in Gaza is not yet clear. Tensions have escalated in the region following an Israeli military raid in the occupied West Bank on Thursday, in which 9 Palestinians, both fighters and civilians, were killed. Israeli security forces say they entered a refugee camp in Jenin to arrest members of an armed group, the Islamic Jihad, who they accuse of planning a major attack. It's been the deadliest day in the West Bank for several years. Our Middle East correspondent Yalanel reports from the scene.
Heavily armed Israeli forces arriving in this crowded urban refugee camp. There were explosions and gunfire in 3 hours of fierce battles with Palestinian militants. Ambulances struggled to reach the mounting Palestinian casualties. Still smouldering, the Israeli army says it targeted Islamic Jihad militants hiding out here, acting on intelligence that they were planning major attacks. 3 men were killed in this house and another arrested. Just coming inside, you can see how rooms have been reduced to rubble, and there's still this acrid smell of burning. And I've seen a lot of blood in here. One woman on this street was killed by a stray bullet. A neighbour, Aisha Abu Annaj, tells me she and her family were terrified.
There is no safety. We're not only afraid about ourselves, but about our children. There is no safety, only fear. Everyone is scared, young or old. Almost every day there is a martyr. How long will this way of life last?
The dead are buried quickly here. Today, fighters and civilians were carried off together on a tide of mourners. Since a series of deadly attacks in Israel last year, its military's been carrying out what it calls a counter-terrorism offensive, and the number of Palestinians killed has risen rapidly. In Jenin refugee camp, often the target of Israeli raids, people know well the taste of the bitter coffee served after funerals. As the crowd gathered here, Palestinian officials announced they'd stop cooperating with Israel's new far-right leaders on security. The US now says it's trying to calm growing tensions. Yolanda Nell, BBC News, Jenin.